Hello everyone, this is Jeff Bessa. I haven't done a video in a long time, but I'm really passionate about this new topic. People who have been following along with me on Twitter know I've been playing around with AI. I hit a lot of dead ends because of AI's limitations, but I've recently hit a gold mine, and I'll explain how. First of all, you guys got to know that I wrote my first computer program for my charts back in the mid 90s, and they are largely unchanged. They've been improved dramatically, especially based on my customers' feedback. But the main math that went into it has not been changed in over 20 years. And that Excel file is extreme. I did it in Excel, which is obviously not the preferred way to do it. And I did it with kind of a complicated cut and pasting of data into 4 different places. And the files are quite large. Like each file is 5-6 megabits, and you can't combine those together. Excel will break down. It's very hard for me to update scratches. I have to do it manually. I sometimes make mistakes when I do that. I also make mistakes cutting and pasting of the data sometimes. Not often. I've got a pretty good routine, but it's all a little cumbersome. But I love it. I mean, I've been using these charts for 20, 30 years, really. And I've really learned how to do it. But what I set out to recently do is to try to use AI to create the charts from grounds up with a bunch of critical improvements. So I'm going to go through this AI model, which is not final. It's close to final. And I'll explain what I'm still working on. But so first of all, what you got here is you've got, this is in Excel with some conditional formatting set up so we can see some key pieces of information. But you've got the date of the race. This is Belmonte, Saratoga. R is the race number, D is the distance, S is the surface. Type is the type of race. This is a brisnet classification. So S is made in special weight. AO is allowance optional claiming. A is just allowance. G is grade 1, G is grade 3, G3 is grade 3. A lot of grade 1s, obviously. People are probably familiar with the races this day. You can see the inner turf, you can see the dirt, you can see the outer turf. And then the number, which I put in gray just so that we don't accidentally think the horse's number is a different number. The horse's name, this is a little abbreviated right now. The adjusted morning line, so this adjusts the morning line for scratches. This is a brand new modification I just did today, and I was able to do it so quickly. L3 is the last 3 races. A customer asked for this. I actually think it's pretty useful. So if the horse has more than 3 starts, you'll see their last 3 finish positions, 4, 6, 3. So 4th in the last, 6th in the second last, 3rd in the third to last. But if they only have 2 races, you can see they've only had 2 races, 2, 4, or in this case, 1 race. Now this is a maiden race, so you've got a lot of inexperienced, lightly raced horses. Now the asterisk has been improved. This is something I added to the charts. It basically tells you if a horse is changing tracks. However, it's only going to tell you that if the horse is unproven on more than 1 track. So if horse is proven to win or place on more than 1 track, then it's not going to get this asterisk flag, okay? But the asterisk flag will let you know. The asterisk does not factor into any of the math right now, but it will just tell you that the horse is changing tracks and is not proven on multiple tracks. The greater than and less than sign is just like the charts. Greater than means stretching out, and the less than sign means cutting back. And now I've got that actually tied in to some of the pace analysis. I never had that tied in before. So if a horse is stretching out, it's going to take a little bit of a harder look at late speed and see if that will benefit the horse. And if the horse is cutting back, like this horse, it's going to take a look at the early speed and see if that will benefit the horse. Okay, next column is layoff. I had this built into the fitness column on the chart. It was just in months. Now it's just days. I'm showing you days of layoff, so it's more granular. You can see short layoffs. You can see long layoffs. I've got the conditional formatting set for 90 days. So a 90-day layoff will trigger the yellow. Maybe I'll modify that in the future, but right now that's what I have it set for. So you can see that. Then I've got form cycle. There's a bunch of stuff in form cycle, just like before, but it's a little more detailed. So before, I could just tell you if a horse was making its, say, second lifetime start or third lifetime start, but I couldn't combine that with, I would just combine 2 and 3 together, and I couldn't combine that with like this one. So like this horse here, My Gun's Loaded, is coming off a layoff and is making second lifetime start, okay? And I had that coded into PFTS odds, but now I have it coded much better with more granularity depending on what kind of horse they are. So I'm looking at horse in different buckets, and depending on the bucket they're in, which is triggered by this form cycle, that win percentage, which is over here, we'll talk about it. It's really good. That win percentage will get modified differently for every kind of horse there is. So I didn't have that kind of flexibility before. The things that are in here are first, second, or third off a layoff. That's just a 1, 2, or 3. And then first, second, or third lifetime, that's a 2L or a 3L or a 1L. And then you've got D for dropping in class. That's already factored into the PFIG column, which will, in the class column, we'll talk about that. And then there's C1, C2, C3, first, second, third off a claim. C1 is factored into win percentage. I never had that factor in before. So the form cycle column is a lot more powerful and is feeding into the win percentage column. All right, now I had a fitness rating in the charts. I had it as Q or N. I wrote it literally in 1995. I think I might have updated it in early 2000s, and it's been basically the same since. It's good, Q and N, but it only is binary, and it only made a very small adjustment to PFTS odds. Now I can show you, I'm calling it, I had this math already figured out a long time ago, but I haven't put it in the charts. Now I was able to do it. So now what you're seeing is a fitness workout rating, and it's looking at how fit the horse should be. And this is very, very applicable for horses that get triggered on the form cycle of first, second, or third off the layoff, or first, second, or third lifetime. That FWR is going to be critical. FWR is going to be ignored for experienced horses that are coming off a short layoff. So you go down to experienced horses like this one off a 35-day layoff. That FWR is not going to factor in at all. Okay, so it's much, now I got scale now. It's not just a Q or an N. I've got scale. And that scale factors in differently into the win percentage. All right, trainer jockey rating. I had a trainer score and a jockey score. They were good, but this is better. Okay, I'm factoring in much more information into this trainer and jockey rating. Before, the trainer was only based on angles. It's still heavily based on angles, but it also looks at more general trainer statistics. It now also looks at trainer-jockey combination working together. It's looking at jockey on different distances and different surfaces. It's looking at jockey ROI. So there's a lot more folded into this, and it is relevant depending on what's going on with the horse. So for example, a horse first off the claim that it TGR is going to be really important, okay? But TGR gets factored in almost everywhere. Although with experienced horses, it is not as big an issue, okay? But it does get factored in even with experienced horses if there's a big positive, okay? I'm probably giving more information than I need to right now, but bottom line, the trainer jockey rating is much more powerful, and it feeds into the win percentage. It never fed into the win percentage before. We got the running style of the horse, EP, EPS. Everyone should be familiar with this. With the charts, I created my own F, tactical, mid-pack, and closer. I don't have time to do that right now. I got more important things. I might eventually go back to that formatting, but for now, I'm just going to go with what Brisnick gives me, the Kieran running style and the Kieran running points from 0 to 8. What is happening now is I had a crude way of assessing pace before. Now it's a little more sophisticated. It's looking at not only the running style and the Kieran points, but it's also looking at pace par and the ES speed of horses in the race. And I'm then getting a pace score from 0 to 10. And depending on the running style and the pace score, that affects the win percentage. The ES is very similar to how I calculated the ES before. However, when I did all these projections, which we'll talk about these FIGs over here, but including ES and LS, I had a way of weighting races based on how many races ago it was and what the distance was and what the surface was. I had a way of doing it. It was good, but now it's much better. It's more refined, and it not only looks at how many races ago it was, but it looks at the calendar, and there's some calendar decay applied. So bottom line, the way I'm projecting ES and LS is better. The energy score right now is still just the average of ES and LS with the exception of turf routes. Turf routes, it's a 60-40, late speed, early speed. Okay, fit. This is what I used to call PFDS percentage. Now it's called fitness. It only looks at distance and surface. And it's better. It's more granular and gives me greater flexibility and has a greater contribution to the win percentage column. Class is critical. I didn't show class before, but this is how tough the races are that the horses have been running against. And PFIG is a performance figure that I would develop, and I would then turn that into PFDS percentage. PFDS odds. Now I'm just showing you the PFIG. Again, the way I'm projecting the PFIG is improved, but that PFIG is still an absolutely critical. In fact, it's the most important, by far, column feeding into this win percentage. But before, it only fed into PFDS percentage. PFDS odds. Then you got BFIG, best fig. That was what I called best odds. So it does not factor into the win percentage right now. But what it does is if there's a horse that performs really well in this BFIG, and BFIG is basically looking at a best case scenario for the horse, looking at kind of back performances, maybe more applicable to today's race, or looking at back performances because the horse is coming off a layoff or second or third off the layoff or changing to a different trainer or whatever. The horse is trying to figure out a best case scenario. And if that best case scenario is significant, it will change something, which I'll talk about in a minute. But for example, and it's interesting to look at. Now, Intellect was the favorite and has a great BFIG, but if you look down, I think there's an example down here. Yeah, this one here. Mary's Lad. So Mary's Lad, we'll talk about the letter grades later, but you can see that Mary's Lad has a lower percentage chance of winning than brazenly, but doesn't get an X. And that's probably because of this BFIG of 78. So the BFIG is causing right now modifications to this letter grade. I'll tell you about that in a second. I think it's worth looking at and tracking, and it may become more powerful later as I factor in how important it is. But win percentage is where it all comes down to. The way I had a really good way of doing win percentage based in the PFTS column, but it was entirely limited to PFIG. Whereas now I'm tying in a lot more factors than I had before. And the math of the way it's calculated, I think, is superior. So this win percentage is much more powerful now than before. In fact, if you saw on Twitter, I posted it today, and I'm tracking this very, very closely. And I'm tracking basically how good this win percentage is. This is where I'm going to be spending the bulk of time, is optimizing this win percentage based on actual results. So I'm focused here. Fair odds just converts win percentage to fair odds, and value compares fair odds to the adjusted morning line after scratches. All right, grade. And by the way, this value column is working more powerfully, much more powerfully than the value column worked on my chart. So that's a big factor. And I really think you can trust this value column. All right, so now we got the grade. Now what I've done for the grade, and this could change, and I'm open to feedback. And let me just say, I'm open to feedback across the board. And if there's something else you want me to analyze or something else you want me to add, just send me an email or a DM on Twitter. All right, but what I've done for the letter grade, first thing I do, and I'm going to spell it out because it's not perfect, but I look at how many horses are required to reach 50% win percentage. So in this case, Cold Spell was the only horse required. But in other races, you can see like this one here, Naive Melody, you can see it took 3 horses to get to 50%. And down here, Gun Range, this race, it took 4 horses to get to 50%. Okay, which kind of tells you a little bit of how strong these opinions are. But anyway, any horse that's in that 50% coupling or grouping is going to get either an A or a B grade. And the horse that has the highest value of those horses will get the A. Okay, so Gun Range got it here. Naive Melody actually got a B. That changed. This is all in flux and changing. This Naive Melody was the horse with the best value and was the A horse. So this has changed. Probably when I adjusted the morning line. It could be why. But this is a work in progress, okay? But the value column is very, very important. So A and B grades go to the top 50% of horses to reach 50% combined cumulative win percentage. And then any horse below 5% gets an X. And if there's a horse with a grade better than an X at 5% or below, like my Sharona, they got a BFIG upgrade to C. Okay? But that horse is still -7 value, so that's a big concern. All right, then you can see the results. All right, we're going to go through these results very, very quickly. But in this first race, I actually bet on my guns loaded, so I hit this. The horse went off at 18-1, and I just really liked the value. Now, Fusion has a little better value, but I think when I first ran this, my guns loaded had the better value. But this horse was coming off first off the layoff and second lifetime with a really good fitness workout rating, really good trainer jockey rating, third best win percentage. Horse went off at 18-1, and it won. Okay. The second race, senior officer won, but I I didn't bet the horse. I don't remember if I even played this race, but I didn't like the negative 35 value, but the horse that horse won with the C. Race 3 was bonus move, which went wire to wire. Was lone E in the race, and of course the track on Saturday was very, very, very kind to speed on both dirt and turf, and this horse got an easy lead and went wire to wire. I am going to look at adding track bias at some point, but that horse got an X. I think that's the only X winner on the day. Race 4, Naive Melody, top horse, most likely winner. Went off at like 3-1, I think. 3-1. Went off at 3-1. You can see Helen's Revenge got bet down to 2.6, and these value scores are based on the adjusted morning line, which was 6.4. So Helen's Revenge went down in value. Naive Melody went up to 3.1 post-time odds, which is actually higher than fair odds. So Naive Melody was the wager. That is who I bet on, and I hit that. Race 4 was, let's see here. That was race 4, Naive Melody. Race 5, Marketplace of Ideas won at 9.5 to 1. Fair odds on the horse was 8.3. That horse drifted from a 2.9 adjusted morning line all the way up to 9.5 to 1, and that horse won. That was the fourth most likely winner in the race. But I think I bet on Carmenista. No, I didn't. I didn't bet on that horse. I think I bet on. I think I passed on this race. But anyway, I didn't bet on Marketplace of Ideas. Race 5. I'm gonna keep going through this briefly. Race 5. The winner was that was race 5. Race 6. The winner was Butta. Butta had -1 value, was kind of a long shot, went off at 29 to 1. I didn't have it, but did get a C though. Race 7, this is where I started getting good. I hit Classic Q, got the A, 6 to 1. I hit that. That was clearly the play in a grade 1 race. Race 7, I bet on Bookham Dano. Horse drifted up from 1.6 to 1.9 to 1. I had fair odds of 1.4 to 1. Look how good this win percentage is. I mean, that's what I love about this new tool. My win percentage is just much more reliable. Anyway, that horse won. Then this race here, Reef Runner won, was third most likely winner. This was when the track started to change and this horse came from behind. I do have a late speed bonus built into the model, and that would have probably, for turf routes, that would have probably bumped him up a little bit, but it's still only bumped him up to third most likely winner, and he had negative value, 5.2. He was fair odds 5.9. So he did win as the third most likely horse as a C. Race 10, I don't think I bet this horse to win, Solitude Dude, but I think I bet a pick 4 with the 5, 6, 7. I used all 3 of these horses, the ABB, even though Crude Velocity was clearly an underlay, okay, and lost. And Englishman was definitely the best horse in the race and won. I'm sorry, Englishman's right here and won. They're very close, these 3 horses, in win percentage. 11, Nisos was the play. I hit it. 12, Deterministic won. I actually bet on Test Score at 15 to 1. He took second. I bet on win place. He paid $14 to place. And ran extremely well. Deterministic won. And then the Derby, I screwed up. I should have hit the pick 4, but I didn't. I did not use Golden Tempo, which was a B. I used Renegade. I should have gone 4 deep. It was a big mistake, and I would have hit it. But Renegade was definitely an underlay, and my rose-colored glasses did not see that. But Golden Tempo was third most likely winner. The race, these horses, they just don't seem to be able to go 10 furlongs anymore, and they continually collapse. But Golden Tempo was third most likely winner, did get a B, went off at 6-1. Fair odds was 4.9. So actually drifted up in odds to a horse with a little bit of value. And then race 14, this horse sounds like, I can't know his full name, but the 12 won at 3-1. It was a B horse. Now, I wanted to pull something up. I won't bore you. I will just tell you that if you bet on, let's see if I can pull it up. Bear with me. I should have had this up already. Okay. So if you bet on the pick 5, the pick 5, 50-cent pick 5 paid $2,314. Okay. And now let's go back to our model. That's races 10 through 14. So the B1, second most likely winner, the B1. Race 11, the A1, most likely winner. Race 12, deterministic. B, second most likely winner. Race 13, Golden Tempo. B, third most likely winner. Race 14, sounds like a runner. B, third most likely winner. You had that pick 5 with A and B horses alone. And if you just, caveman A and B, which I'm not saying you should do, some of these had negative value, but if you just caveman A and B, 4 times 3 is 12, times 3 is 36, times 2 is 72, times 3 is 216, so $108. $108 to hit a $2,500 pick 5 with almost no intelligence put into it. So we did well at Saratoga. I was profitable, even though I lost my pick 4. And the tool, Parks yesterday, I crushed with the tool. Now I'm tracking 4 tracks today. I'm going to be expanding the results. I'm going to show you what I'm tracking today. Let's go to our website. And you can see what I've got in here is I've got these tracks today: Finger Lakes, Parks, Indiana, Thistledowns. And all of them are updated for scratches. I can just so easily update for scratches. This model I just showed you is right here. I want to show you the members page. Let me scroll down here. This is a handicapping report I'm working on. So charting horse value 6.6. It gives a little table, talks about the top horses, it gives you kind of a bottom line. This is a massive work in progress, but it's looking pretty clean. And we'll scroll down to the Belmont just for fun. And basically it says Golden Tempo, again, we know the B, 17%, the morning line, fair odds value, the value, style of runner, ES, LS, PFIG, BFIG, energy, fit, distance surface fit, fitness workout rating, trainer jockey rating, no form cycle applied. Talks about the 4 horses, says Golden Tempo, positive, second in PFIG, second in BFIG, second in fit, concern, slow pace, stop concern. So yeah, the track was playing extremely fast. It was very hard for horses to come behind. But again, at 10 furlongs, it just seems like these young horses continue to collapse. And, Chief Wallaby seemed like the right play. It says bottom line, win bet Chief Wallaby. Cereals do a moderate spread with Chief Wallaby, Emerging Market, and Golden Tempo. And if you want some value, add Commandment. So this is all work in progress, these handicapping reports. But what I'm getting is I've got the capability to run this for every track, update it for scratches. I might even be able to eventually automate all this so it automates for scratches. Right now I still have to alert it to do it, but eventually I may be able to even automate that. But it's much more powerful. It's improved. And that's hard for me to say. I've been tracking these charts for 30 years. But this is the chart built from the grounds up with much finer and granular level of detail and an improved feed into the win percentage. So I think it's dramatically improved. I encourage you to play with it as I keep posting it. I would like to ultimately switch to it, but I'm not going to rush people. But I've already moved to this. I'll just tell you right now, I've moved to this. And because I think it's better. And I'll be able to track results, finish post-time odds. I'll be able to look at, I'll be able to segment the races based on the track condition, based on the type of the race, based on the distance and surface of the race, maybe even based on the track. Over time, I'll be able to collect results and continue to optimize this win percentage score, which is where I'm focused. I'm still debugging a little bit the class PFIG and BFIG. I'm working on that right now. I think everything else is pretty dialed in. And then I'm going to really work on updating and modifying this win percentage. So that's this project. It's huge. It's going to be extremely value add. Please let me know what your feedback is. You can respond here to the YouTube video, or you can send me an email or a text or a DM, whatever you decide. And thank you for your time. Bye-bye.